was doing the other way. Clerk will call the roll.
Glenn Wintley, County Judge.
Here.
Roy C. Brooks, Commissioner Precinct 1.
Present.
Andy H. Wynn, Commissioner Precinct 2.
Here.
Gary Fickus, Commissioner Precinct 3.
Here.
J.D. Johnson, Commissioner Precinct 4.
Here.
Constitutes a quorum.
Thank you. Our invocation this morning will be delivered by Dr. Marty Akins from the First Baptist Church of Bedford. Thank you very much for coming out today. After our invocations, please remain standing for our pledges.
Our Father in heaven, who's endowed us with certain inalienable rights, not the least of which is the right and power to choose. Father, I pray that you will give us the courage, conviction to choose well and to choose wisely. Father, we thank you for the privilege of being Americans, of being born in this country, and all of the privilege that come with it. And Father, we ask on this day, Flag Day, that Lord, as we think about our flag, we remember those and ask your protection for those who are serving our country in the cause of freedom around the world. Those that we know personally who are in uniform, who are in harm's way, I pray that you watch over and protect them. And Father, I thank you. I thank you that we live in the great state of Texas. And Father, I pray for wisdom and insight for all of our elected leaders in our state and in our country. Lord, that they would have the courage to make decisions for the common good so that our future as a people may be even brighter and greater than our past. And we thank you, Father, that you are a God of love and grace, hope, and life and joy. May that be ours in abundance as we look to you for each day's challenges and opportunities. For it's in the name of Jesus, I pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Under the Texas flag,
I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Mr. Manius, agenda announcements?
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the Court, we have some announcements for the Court this morning. We have items that are under purchasing. We're going to remove several of these from the agenda. We'll look at items 9F, 4, 5, and 6. These are all contracts with Spindle Medium. We're going to ask that we hold these for a week. Bring them back next week for your consideration. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Members, you have before you the minutes of our meeting of June the 7th.
move approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Under proclamations, Commissioner Johnson, I believe you have a proclamation today.
Yes, I do, Your Honor. Let me find it here. Yes, Texas AgriLife Extension volunteers, if you would read that into the record, please.
Whereas the Texas Extension Education Association of Tarrant County believes strong families are basic to the well-being of Texas, and whereas the TEEA has educational programs that address critical needs impacting Texas families and communities, and view education as a lifelong learning process, and whereas the TEEA believes volunteers and opportunities for volunteer development are important, and they develop leadership that offers opportunities for personal growth and development. And whereas Linda and Ed Kittner, the only married couple members of the District 4, are active volunteers in both TEEA and their community and have generously shared their time and talents individually and as a couple in the Bedford TEEA. Tell you what, you got to get a running start on that TEEA. You can get too many E's in there real quick if you're not careful. Club and whereas Linda has been an active member of TEEA for 28 years, holding almost every office for both her club and association, and has also been a volunteer for Need and her church. And whereas Ed, who retired from both the Air Force after 20 years and DFW Airport after 25 years, became an official member in 2008 and volunteers at their church and at assisted living homes. And whereas anytime TEEA or Extension has a need, the Kittners can be counted upon to be there. And whereas volunteerism is increasingly recognized as a vital partner for government, education, and industry, and the people of Tarrant County benefit from the deeds of these selfless and dedicated individuals, now therefore be it resolved that we, the Commissioners Court of Tarrant County, do hereby honor and thank the dedicated volunteers of Texas AgriLife Extension Service who give so freely of their valuable time, energy, and abilities to serve the people of Tarrant County. In witness whereof, we've heretofore set our hands and caused the seal of Tarrant County to be affixed the 14th day of June, 2011.
I move for its approval.
Second.
We have a motion, second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Marion Ross, with our Extension program leader, is going to be present, so if you'll meet me at the podium. Well, thank y'all very much, and I want to vote. You got pictures?
Yes, I would like for Ed and
Cameras
Linda.
working
Yeah,
this
I
morning.
would like for Ed and Linda.
Well, we've got pictures. We don't know that we got cameras working.
I didn't realize they were with us. Wonderful. Good morning. Congratulations, and thank you all for what you do. Appreciate it. You want to, one of you step over here? All right, she said. Well, any comments y'all would like to make, please do so. Thank you.
Well, I'd like to introduce to the court Ed and Linda Kinter, and I believe Ed's going to say a few remarks. They voted, really, they flipped, did the arm wrestle in the back, and I think he lost.
I lost. I always do. I didn't know we were important. That thing read. All the time I spent in the military, whenever was the need to volunteer something, to do something, in the military they tell you don't volunteer for anything.
That's right.
Unfortunately, the military doesn't let you non-volunteer for anything. But in civilian life, look around you and you see things that need done, and there are just a lot of people who don't have the time to do them or can't do them, and you just feel the need to go and help out. We got involved in a NEED program a long time ago, and one of the most gratifying things you do is you go down into the NEED center and hand out food and money when they have it from the food bank and things like that, and it just gratifies you to know that God blesses you enough that you can help other people. And we need more of that all over this state, and especially in this county. Thank you very much.
Ed, thank you and Linda both for everything that you do, and we appreciate very much the volunteer efforts that you put forward.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Commissioner Brooks, it looks like you have a couple of people you might want to introduce.
I do have two very outstanding young men that I'd like to introduce this morning. They're both Boy Scouts working on merit badges and various other accoutrements of being a Boy Scout. There's Mr. Eric Whitfield. Would you stand up, Eric? And Mr. William Wilson. And if I might ask if they may come up here and take a picture with the
Come on
court.
up.
Absolutely.
I'm sure they can help.
I'll get up here in front. If y'all want to come up closer, you You don't have to stand way back down. We'd like for you to be able to see the boys' faces.
These two are good Boy Scout moms.
Thank y'all.
Congratulations, buddy.
Keep it up, guys. Always do your best. Thank you, Judge.
You bet. And I would also just mention that Saturday we had the dedication of the public health building in the name of Dr. Marion Jack Brooks, and it was a nice event. There was a lot of people there, and it was certainly appropriate. And I know Roy and his family were appreciative, but it was very well deserved, and it was a great event, Roy.
We appreciate the court for recognizing our father in that way.
Judge? Yes, sir. I also have another presentation I'd like to make. Every second Monday of June, I do an environmental study out in my precinct.
Really?
And in the process of doing this environmental study, we hit a few golf balls. And yesterday, I witnessed a closest to the pin on number 15 hole out there by our own one and only county administrator, Mr. Manius.
Really?
Now, I was at the hole because I was the only one that had gotten in this circle all day with my grandsons, and it didn't count. But Mr. Manius pops one up there very close, and it holds through the round. Now, I did not witness what he hit it with. Some say it was a driver. It's a 134-yard hole. Some said it was a putter. I don't know, but the ball was about this far from the hole. So I'd like to make this presentation. Congratulations for being closest to the pin. Appreciate it. All right. Huh?
That's all I get?
Well, it's full of money.
Oh, okay. Here, let me hold it.
Commissioner, that was actually 134 and a half yards.
Oh, I'm sorry. So it was a driver then. It
JD, it looks like during the course of your environmental study, you got a lot of sun.
Well, I had to lay some asphalt before I got on with it. Yes, I did get some sun.
Next, we have a public hearing today to approve the 2011 Tarrant County Housing Assistance Office Annual Agency Plan. So I will open the public hearing at this point. Go ahead, come on forward and talk a little bit about it, and then we'll open the public hearing.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Wayne Paul. I'm the Director of Tarrant County Housing. Tarrant County Housing Assistance Office have 2,500 Section 8 vouchers. We recently was awarded 100 for family unification, where we work very close with CPS, preventing kids from going to foster care mainly due to their homes. CPS is the referral source of those vouchers. We currently have 10,895 families on our wait list. We don't plan on opening our wait list again to sometime in 2015. However, we do have a preference for our current wait list for the elderly and disabled families. Our office still receive an average of 47 calls a day, people asking for housing assistance. However, due to the federal budget, I doubt we get any new vouchers anytime soon. For the third consecutive year, we received 100% on our Section 8 Management Assessment Program, and we was rated for 3 years consecutive as high performers. We continue to increase our landlord base. We had 1,150 in 2010. Now we have 1,200 at this point. And the reason why we're trying to increase the number of landlords is to give our families an opportunity to move to other parts of the county so they get better jobs, better schooling for the children. 2 years ago, we implemented our home ownership program. We have 12 families in our home ownership program, 5 in Precinct 1, 1 in Precinct 2, 4 in Precinct 3, and 2 in Precinct 4. We had a very successful family self-sufficiency program. This past October, Commissioner Brooks was our keynote speaker. He did an outstanding job. He and my boss, Patricia Ward, assisted me in giving out 14 graduate diplomas. Out of those 14 participants, 3 of them actually earned a bachelor's degree this May. We have 165 families in this program. 42 of them are receiving an associate or a bachelor's degree, so you're doing a lot of wonderful things. We continue to ensure our families live in a safe, decent, and sanitary homes, and making sure they follow the rules of the program. I will answer any questions you guys may have.
Okay, before we do that, let me open the public hearing and ask if there is anyone here today who wishes to speak to this matter. There appearing to be none, then we will close the public hearing, and I'll open it to any of the court members who might have any questions.
I'd like to tell Wayne that he's running an outstanding program and improving the lives of a lot of people here in Tarrant County. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Your Honor, we're not asking for any type of official court action today.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
The next public hearing will be to consider the installation of a 40 miles per hour speed limit on Keller Hazlitt between Old Denton Road and Alta Vista, Precinct 3. Ms. Lamb, would you please come forward?
Thank you, Judge. I'm here today to request that Commissioners Court consider the placement of a 40-mile-an-hour speed limit on Keller Hazlitt between Old Denton Road and Alta Vista Road. It's in Precinct 3. This is one of those roads where we have the north half of the road, the City of Fort Worth has the southern half. We've worked closely with the City of Fort Worth, and the signs will actually be installed in their section. But they will enforce and have the same speed limit here that we do.
I'll open the public hearing at this time and ask if there's anyone present here wishing to speak to this matter. Appearing to be none, then I will close the public hearing.
We need a motion.
Yes? If you want to put a stop sign up.
Absolutely.
I'll second.
It's not a stop sign, it's a speed sign.
Okay, speed limit sign.
Just a question, you're saying the south side is Fort Worth, the
Yes, sir.
north side is Tarrant County. Is the City of Fort Worth still patrolling?
It's my understanding that they patrol either end of this. Now, where they patrol this small section, I can't say. But they're aware of what we want to do, and they're aware of the problem.
There was no stop signs there was no speed limit signs on
Yes, sir. I think this
Fort Worth,
actually
and I
came to
guess
us from
the Sheriff's Department were both issuing tickets, because there's no speed signs. As a citizen, you're supposed to know the speed limit's 30 miles an hour. This is a fairly rural, not a heavily populated area, so.
Yes, and we did a speed study, and we're recommending 40. We think that's appropriate.
Good.
Any other questions?
Second.
We have motion and second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayes.
Your Honor, if we could go back to the consent agenda item, and we're requesting
Yeah, we
approval
do
of the
need to
consent
pass
agenda with
that
those
on.
3 issues.
Move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
We have motion and second to approve the consent agenda excluding the 3 items mentioned earlier.
Yeah, that.
Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Members of the Court, we go to the Administrator's section at this time. We have one additional item. We're requesting that the Commissioners Court approve a loan to JPS Hospital, items which are purchased through grant funds for the creation of the JPS Hospital Emergency Operations Center, EOC. These monies, or this equipment, which includes computers and some screens, TV screens, were bought by the UASI funding. JPS has played an integral part in our team as it relates to emergency operations. Staff is requesting approval.
So moved.
Second.
We have motion and second. So basically, we purchased through our emergency management with our UASI funds equipment, and we are loaning that equipment to JPS.
That's correct.
Permanently.
Yes.
Any other discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Your Honor.
It'll be outdated in 6 months.
Ms. Glenn.
Good morning.
Morning.
We have 3 items for the court this morning. The first item, we're asking the court to receive and file the personnel agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to receive and file personnel agenda. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 2, we're asking the court to approve an out-of-class pay extension for information technology. You've seen this request before. IT is requesting an extension through the middle part of September. This is a result of some reshuffling of staff to make sure that we have coverage and work being done on the IGES project. We're estimating the fiscal impact to be a little bit more than $1,100 to the general fund.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Our third and final item, we're asking the court to approve revisions to the table of organization to include a part-time position in transportation services. Quality control specialist in transportation is going to retire at the end of this month. Transportation does not believe that they need a full-time replacement at this time, and so they're requesting the creation of a part-time position, and we're anticipating that the cost of this position will be offset by salary savings.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. So are they giving up the full-time position?
It's my understanding that they are choosing not to fill it at this point.
That's not what I asked.
That's not what you understood? Okay.
That's not the question he asked.
No, sir, we're not giving it up. What we're asking is that we do an interim solution. Right now, residential construction is slow for us right now.
Okay.
And so we'll do a part-time, and when it picks up, then we'll get rid of the part-time and hire full-time.
So what
it'll be
we're-
one or the other.
But what we're saying is that you're just going to have to figure that out.
Yeah, we will leave the position on their organizational chart, but we will not fund it.
Okay.
And it will be stated as not funded.
Okay.
And we'll fund some temporary salaries in lieu of that.
All right.
And then we'll work with Tina and with Debbie when we get ready to go back to full-time.
Have you decided how you're going to use this part-time employee? Is it going to be 4 hours a day, every day, 3 days a week? Or?
It will be 3 days a week. If we need to go to 4, we could, but we're going to do 3 days a week. I also have a driveway inspector, and in the last month since we've hired him, he's been driving with my quality inspector, so he can handle our Monday, Friday situation. We've told him what to look for. He's not an expert in it, but he knows what to look for. So we're kind of sharing the road and cross-training a little bit is how we'll handle that.
We have a motion and a second. I got an acknowledgement that that's the case. So if there's no other discussion, please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Hi there.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
In healthcare reform, one of the items that's contained in there is support for women who are breastfeeding their new babies when they return back to work. And we have an opportunity from the Department of State Health Services to apply for a grant to pilot that program at our health department and then hopefully be able to move it across Tarrant County as we get that pilot up and going. So we're asking the court's approval today to submit an application for that grant.
I will move for approval of the grant.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is the grant going to cover most of the costs associated with, or is it going to cover all the costs associated with this pilot?
Yes, sir, it should cover everything.
Okay. Any other questions? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Purchasing. Good morning.
Good morning. Your Honor, other members of the court, we have 2 items for your consideration this morning. Our first item is a bid award recommendation for our bid number 2011-098. This is our annual contract for biomedical waste pickup and disposal. Recommendation will be toward to Ventrex Environmental Services on a per-enterprise basis. Last year's expenditures were approximately $35,000.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Our second item is another bid award recommendation for our bid number 2011-099. This is Tarrant County's annual contract for fleet, fuel cards, and management services. Our recommendation will be to award to Fuelman of DFW, pricing based on the Opus Thursday close.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
A couple questions.
Sure, go ahead.
Jack, there has been quite a bit of going back and forth on the fuel card, and every time we change vendor, it creates some disruption in the fueling of, in my precinct at least. I want to make sure that this time our decision is good for the duration of at least 1, 2, 3 years. So we'll minimize the disruption. My understanding, as my conversation with you in the past, was you've told me that the baseline that we use as a benchmark to establish for the fuel pricing, it would be better for us to use the daily average. Okay?
That's correct.
And then you switch over to the weekly average instead, and then we basically send out an addendum. Okay? Which way is better? Which way is better, and why? This is quite has been a puzzle for me. Do you have any statistics to prove one way or the other?
There are three choices when selecting prices using OPUS. There's the OPUS daily rack average, which is what our previous bid was based on. Our in-ground fuel contract right now is based on the OPUS daily rack average. There's a weekly average and an OPUS Thursday close average.
Okay.
The daily rack average gives you the best pricing. It's gross pricing. Basically, it's a 1% discount. The Thursday close average is higher risk, and it's based on the average for that one day only. I guess for an analogy, if you had 100, if you were driving a dump truck, we were all driving dump trucks. We were to fuel that dump truck, put 100 gallons in every day. The best cost would be to pay for the price of fuel that day, because if it spikes, you potentially, and it can go up, it can go down, but if you pay or base your pricing on the Thursday close average, potentially, and again, it can go up or down, you might be paying more.
Okay. So there is really no impact on cost if we use one way or the other. It's just kind of way, just depend on the way the price fluctuates.
Depends on whether it goes up or down.
It depends on whether.
It could be a significant impact.
We chose a day because I figured this question possibly might come up. We chose last Thursday, just at random. Based on the markup for the recommendation that we made this morning, that Thursday OPUS price per gallon on a Thursday closed average would be $3.0567 per gallon, plus the markup of 0.1485. So the total price would be 3.2052 on the Thursday close average. If you compare that to
The daily average.
based on the pricing that we got, it would probably be lower.
Okay.
The weekly number would be lower.
The daily number. The daily
Well, what
number.
were the days since last Thursday? What are the days, I mean, you make that statement, what are the days since last Thursday?
We just picked one day. We just chose.
Well, but if we're comparing weekly to daily, shouldn't we see that, okay, here's what it was one week, now let's look at the daily prices until we get to the next
I
one?
ran some numbers a while ago. I'm working from memory. It was less than $50 a week.
Difference?
Yes, sir. I want to say $35, $37.
How do we, On most of the times when we use this, is it just somebody pulling up to a pump that's got fuel cards and then they just buy it? So are they buying it on a daily? Are we buying gas every day, or is it mostly that we buy it?
I'm sure.
We have to come in and put it in the tanks, right?
I'm sure that fuel is purchased every day by somebody within the county. We have,
But do we use them to refuel our tanks, your tanks for your garages?
No.
That doesn't come out of that?
No.
What contract is that bought off of?
that is off our in-ground fuel contract, and the difference for unleaded regular, which is again the Opus daily rack average. It's 3.30336 with a markdown of 3.0342, or which for an actual cost of 2.9994 versus the 320.52.
Where do we see all these figures you're reading? I didn't see anything like that in our agenda here.
Does anybody have gasoline at your yard?
Yeah, I do.
You do? I don't. I have diesel.
Yeah.
Now, you might remember that a long
What was
time
the
ago.
answer to my question?
This is just information I have to
Why do we have that information?
You don't have gas there?
You're making a presentation here to us and recommending a company. What's all of these figures for?
Those figures are to answer Commissioner Wynn's question.
The concern is this, okay, the fuel price that we pay for is based on that benchmark. And the methodology to determine that benchmark, it tends to change. And every time it changes, it creates a hiccup in the structure. So whichever way we're going to use, let's unify that. Okay? If that's the way, if we're going to use the daily average, then let's use the daily average going forward. We shouldn't be switching back and forth.
What have we used in the past?
The weekly average.
Both.
Correct, Jack? Didn't you bid a year ago with the weekly average?
A year ago, we had an RFP, our current contract expires the 15th of July. We used the daily average on that RFP.
Use what?
We used the daily average on that RFP. Our current contract, which expires the 15th of
You know, you told us last year you used the Opus weekly contract based on Thursday's close. That's what you
That
told
was
us.
prior, maybe was that prior to the?
No, that was last year, and that's how it was bid. Correct?
It was, am I right? Am I saying something wrong, Tim? Daily. It was a daily. It was a daily.
You told this court it was the weekly last year. There was nobody that could bid the daily. When you came up with this RFP, you had it as daily. And I was told, Plano bid it, and they had one bidder, because nobody else could bid the daily. Only one company could bid the daily. That company didn't bid our bid. I asked you to I demanded that you create a level playing field for the bidders. And that's when you sent out the addendum for the weekly. And in J.D.'s office, we discussed that, and you indicated then that last year, when this bid, it was the weekly Opus. Now, if you're saying it's different, then why did you indicate that it wasn't?
If I said that, it was intentional. We did send out an addendum based upon a request, and that was for the Thursday average, the Thursday.
Because that's the way I was told, and this court was told you bid it last year.
No. No, sir.
Well, I read the bid documents, and I don't recall seeing anything about a weekly price. A daily price. Now, maybe I didn't read it right. But you didn't indicate that it was daily, you indicated it was weekly.
It was.
And I asked you to create a level playing field. And I demanded that you create a level playing field. I sure did. Because I felt you had created a closed specification that only one company could bid. And I didn't think that was fair to all the bidders. And that's why, I don't care who gets this job, but I wanted a level playing field. And that's what I asked for. And you said you would issue an addendum, and you did. Did you not get a level playing field?
Got more bids than Plano, apparently.
How many bids at Plano, do you know?
Well, I believe Commissioner.
I was told there was one bid. Mansfield was the only bid. They're the only ones qualified under the daily rate. And I asked you about that in Commissioner Johnson's office when we discussed this.
I'd heard that they got two, but I have no verification of that. I know theirs was approved at their city council meeting last night.
Apparently, the methodology to establish that gasoline base price is extremely important for two reasons. Number one, it has a potential saving to us, depending on which method we use, right?
Correct.
Second,
correct,
it creates an opportunity, an equal opportunity for the companies out there to be able to bid on these types of projects. If we choose the daily average according to commissioner figures, then essentially it's a closed process. Then only one particular company can do that, can bid on the job. Am I understanding correctly?
We got two bids on our original RFP, and we received on this a year ago, the document we put out a year ago. The document that we received a couple of weeks ago, bid only, we got two bids and one late bid.
Okay.
Well, Jack, it seems unusual to me that the company that said that they can't bid daily, they only bid weekly, and they bid a year ago because they were bidding weekly a year ago. I'm questioning a number of things. And we're talking about the price sensitivity. That's evidently not very important a year ago when we bid this, and the price of the fuel. You would think when you bid a product, okay, you're going to bid a product and you're going to buy something, and you have a scoring mechanism to score who's going to get the bid. You would think that the price of the fuel would be the predominant cost and the predominant deciding factor on who you selected. Well, that wasn't true at all a year ago when you bid this and you had the price of fuel. You gave it a 14.8% credit in the overall bid.
There were issues besides just the price. There were FOB delivery issues that the vendor that we did not recommend did not and could not do, but they bid it that way, delivered this time. I find it strange that they couldn't do that a year ago.
It's the way they bid it.
Well, I think where we're down to right now is today we've gone through the bid process. We as a court decided to do it on a weekly basis. I understand, it's the risk. You're right. I mean, if you're daily, then you're right there on it. But, 1 week you may be up, 1 week you may be down. I thought I heard you say that it probably, in the area that you looked at, it might have made a $50 difference. I guess one question I would ask from the auditor's office is, I'm assuming it's going to be a little bit more time-consuming to audit that on a daily basis and look at those invoices and check those invoices against the OPUS deal than it would be on a weekly basis.
It's a complicated process to check it however it is, but we attempt to do that, and we'll do whatever the court decides. Obviously, if there are daily, depends on how it's calculated. I mean, if it's straightforward on a daily basis, then there's more days to check, yes.
Well, we did as a court made a decision that, we decided to go back out and go on a weekly basis.
Judge, I could be wrong on this, but as a body, as a court, we did not make a decision that we will use the weekly
We said we were going to rebid it.
We said we're going to rebid it, but we did not specify which method. And now,
Well, I think when we rebid it, we said we were going to rebid it looking at the weekly Opus report. Now, that doesn't mean that we're not at a point right now where I guess we could reject this if we don't now like the weekly and want to go back to a daily. But I think this is where correct me if I'm wrong over here from the Legal Eagles, but we made the decision to make an addendum and go to weekly. Is that not correct?
No.
Well, wait a minute, hold on. Let's let the purchasing agent and let's let the attorneys tell us, but when we came back in and did an addendum to this bid,
We didn't do the addendum.
we approved, I thought we approved the addendum.
No, we didn't.
No.
No, we did not.
So what did we do a couple of weeks ago, or about a month ago, when you came forward and said,
When we put this document out, when Tarrant County chose not to renew the contract, we put the document out, which was the best deal for the county, in my opinion, utilizing the Opus daily average, FOB delivered. Straight bid, no RFP. Price was all we would make the determination on.
fine, but then didn't you come back to us and ask for some sort of an addendum?
It was suggested to our office that we put out an addendum and change the Opus daily average to a Opus Thursday close average, which we did.
But did that request come from this commissioner's court?
No.
Came from me.
No, but I thought you brought that to this court and we discussed it.
Jack, did the court initially, or did the court approve the bid that you sent out, or did you send that out without, I know they gave you the authority to do the bid, but did you bring the bid document here for the court approval?
Some of the court members saw it. I did not bring it up for an official blessing.
So we haven't approved the going out for RFP, period.
Yes, we did.
Yes.
We
bid.
Yes.
We approved going out for the bid, but we didn't approve the bid document, which we normally don't do. And that's a function of purchasing.
And we did not approve the addendum,
Which we normally don't do.
which we normally don't do.
I asked that he issue an addendum because we did not have a level playing field.
Okay, and so that's what we've got.
That was
before us.
why I
So
asked
the
for it.
bids that came in with the addendum,
understand.
are they on, did everybody bid weekly, or did we get any bids for a daily that went along with that?
Thursday close, which is what we asked for, which mirrored the addendum.
Okay, so,
So our recommendation was to award with the information we received, to the firm that gave us the best price based on the information we received, based on the Thursday.
Okay. So my question is, the next time we put out a bid, at the end of the year, we go out for bid again. Are we going to use a Thursday or are we using a daily? What is our fundamental policy on that? What is it? Are we going to change again?
I would suggest that based upon the discussion we've had this
I
morning,
certainly hope
we'll
not.
probably we'll have a discussion about it at that time and try to decide at that point in time which way we want to roll the dice.
The contract or the bid that we are making recommendation for this morning is a one-year contract with 3 one-year renewal options.
Okay.
The current contract, the expiration is July 15th.
Yes, sir.
So it is imperative that we renew the contract. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If it is imperative, then I would suggest that we go ahead and approve this one. But going forward, I strongly recommend that you solicit a consensus in the methodology to establish that base pricing. Okay, so that when we move forward, we have a consistent structure to our fuel card system. That way, we don't fluctuate back and forth every other year or so. Can you accommodate us on that?
Yes, sir.
It's my understanding we had a company we used for 14 years. We changed last year. We're changing back to that company if we approve it. So we've been very consistent.
Call to question. If there's no other discussion, we will vote on the resolution. Please vote. Motion passes 4-1.
Thank you.
Morning.
Good morning.
I'm Dr.
I hope
Eric
you're not
Metcalf.
bringing quite as controversial an issue up.
I certainly hope not, sir. I'm Dr. Eric Metcalf. I'm the Director of Technology with the Tarrant County Sheriff's Office. I come before you this morning to request the Commissioners Court approve an application for funding from the Tarrant County 911 District under their Public Safety Answering Point Assistance Program.
Move approval. Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much.
One. Come on down, Ms. Green.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning.
We're requesting that the court approve the Second Amendment to the pipeline agreement with Texas Midstream Gas Services to replace the original description of the easement areas as described in the deed records located at the resource connection at 1100 Campus Drive, and to accept payment in the amount of $195,950.50, which they have submitted us the check today.
Move approval. Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah. So they just blew off our trees. They screwed up planting them, so they decided to write us a check. Is that the bottom line?
I believe so.
Are we going to do anything to plant any kind of trees along that pipeline, or to,
Somebody from Resource here?
where's our arborist?
Right over here.
We didn't plant it back along the easement because it was coming from donor. However, we did plant 88, or they planted 88 trees along the wilderness area at the resource connection. So 88 trees were replaced.
How much footage did that encompass compared to the entire pipeline? I mean, about. Is it half? Is it all of it?
It's about half. There's all the way down the road. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm really not.
Okay.
How are the 88 trees doing?
Not all of them are happy.
They're not all happy.
There's probably about 10 of them that haven't done well.
I would like to suggest that as we plant new trees, that we don't worry about getting the big old trees, that we just do little, well, I tell you what, I planted some little sticks around the house, and they've grown a whole lot quicker than
the larger trees.
And so we can plant a few more of them and not cost us near as much. So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? I know you're on a roll today. You want to? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Any appointments today?
Yes, Your Honor. I have a letter of resignation with regret from one of my appointees to the John Peter Smith Hospital Board of Managers, from Ms. Tanya Vesey, who has served, I believe, 7 years on that board. Her business and family and educational activities have gotten to the point where she can no longer serve. I am grateful to Tanya for the service that she has given to the people of Tarrant County. She has been a remarkable member of the Board of Managers and has contributed greatly to the improvements at the hospital district. Here are copies of her letter of resignation. For each of you, it is effective July the 1st. In Tanya's stead, I wish to appoint Ms. Dorothy DeBose to become effective. I understand there is no July meeting, so she will take her position on the board at the August meeting.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Any other appointments? Then you have before you the claims, including the addendum.
Move approval of the claims, including the addendum.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the claims, including the addendum. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Briefing items, Mr. Manius.
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the Court, we have several items for you this morning. The first one concerns the monthly update for the hospital district. Mr. Early is here to address the Court at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Manius. Glad to see y'all kind of coordinated your ties and shirts today.
We do. It is the attire of JPS. We wake up every morning.
No, I wasn't talking about the rest of JPS. I was talking about you and GK.
Oh, we do. We do that too. We do that in a briefing every morning.
That's pretty normal.
I want to thank you.
Bring your support with you today?
Did. I brought Posse with me. What I wanted to do is publicly thank Tanya Vesey for her 7 years of service. She has kept us on our toes, and she's made us a better institution because of what she's done and what she added to JPS, and I'm thankful for her. I will also tell you that when she gets into her MBA program and she takes her first stat class, she'll beg to come back to the board. So I wish her the best. You all don't have to deal with me today. What we thought is that you all deserved input from our physicians. Our physicians play a critical role, and I thought, and Dr. Floyd and our medical staff thought it would be critically important for you to hear from our physicians. And so if you don't mind, I'd like for you to hear from them collectively. These three individuals are gifts to JPS. They provide over 70 years of experience collectively. Dr. Sealy Massengill will address you first, and he is the past president of the medical staff. He will be followed by Dr. John Stella, who is the incoming president of the medical staff, and he will be followed by Dr. Lisa Carter, and Dr. Carter is the current president of the medical staff. And I thought it would be very important for you as commissioners, the listening public, and the audience here to hear from our physicians at JPS. Thank you, Your Honor.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Sealy.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. Mr. Johnson, I didn't know GK had won that close to the home. Enjoyed being out there yesterday. That's always a fun event. First of all, I want to thank Mr. Early for inviting us to come give the report today. As some of you may remember, you've seen us before in your offices and in various instances. This is kind of probably a shock to you all that we'd be up here presenting for the administration. I just think this shows the new way that we have at JPS. We now have a physician hospital administration partnership that has really been a remarkable change. I first darkened the doors of the hospital district in 1985 when I started as an intern, and it's a new day, and we're thankful for that new day, and we're thankful for y'all's leadership and your board members' leadership for getting us to where we needed to be. Mr. Early said I'm the past president of medical staff, the immediate past president. I'm also the president-elect of the Tarrant County Medical Society and an associate president at TCOM. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. That also speaks to the partnership we have not only with the JPS physicians, but with the larger physician membership, as well as our very important interaction with the school. Those of you who've been following politics in Austin, the Tarrant County Hospital District did get the ability to hire physicians. That does not come as any shock or surprise or, in fact, any worry to those of us who are already working with the district. We don't think that's really an issue. So if you're worried that we're upset about it or be calling you about that, you don't have to worry about that. We won't be bothering you about that. What we may, however, be bothering you about, one of the solemn duties that we have as physicians is to advocate for our patients. And with the budget mess we've currently got going on, both locally and nationally, we may have to be back to advocate for our patients when budget time comes around. We're going to need to be good stewards of the district's money. I'm both a physician and a taxpayer, so I understand how important that check is. My wife reminds me how important that check is every month. Year, but we will be back to advocate if necessary. We appreciate your time, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have for me, but I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Stahl, unless you'll have something for me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it.
The cooperative efforts that have occurred with the current administration and the hospital district. Having a residency program and 4 children and a wife of 25 years, I've learned probably since 1986 how important it is for accountability, and that words and actions be kind of follow one another pretty carefully to substantiate what a person says by their actions. And the current administration is really a permission-giving, supportive administration with regard to the boots-on-the-ground functioning doctors. And so with that, they began this LDI series, which is a Learning Development Institute that helps the physicians not just be leaders, but also put that into action. And so what you have there is a first card that our department developed from that, and it's called the AIDIT card. And it's basically a teaching tool for our doctors, our residents, and all the mid-levels on how not to just treat patients, but also how to interface with individuals within the hospital district. You would think that this doesn't have to be taught, but the amount of time that we spend treating patients, the volume that we treat, we oftentimes have to learn how to slow down and treat everybody like individuals. And that includes everybody from patients to fellow doctors, nurses, and individuals we meet in the hallway. And so without belaboring the point, we've taught our docs and our mid-levels the concept of acknowledge, introduce, diagnose duration, explain treatment, and thank you. And just as an illustration, acknowledgement, for example, we teach our residents, our docs, and even our mid-levels the 5-10 rule. And that is if you see somebody 10 feet away, it doesn't matter who they are, you smile. You see them 5 feet away, you say hello. You verbalize it. And again, you don't think you have to teach that, but on a busy day when everybody's head is down and walking through the hallways quickly, it makes a difference to keep your head up and say hello to people. The back side of the card goes into what we call managing up. And that's an important aspect of interpersonal communication with patients, where we not only explain to the patient who we are, but the experience that exists in the clinics, the amount of time the nurses have worked there, the equipment that we have. For example, in the oral and maxillofacial surgery clinic where I direct the program there, we have a brand new ICAT machine, 3-dimensional CT scanner, providing cutting-edge level of care to our patients. And it's important to know that they're not receiving just what the county has to shuffle off to them, but they have really high-end equipment taking care of them. And finally, with regard to accountability, the ultimate person and persons that judge whether or not we're doing a good job is our patients. So they don't understand AIDIT. They just see the result. And so what we started in addition to that, the medical staff, with the support of the hospital district administration and the PR department, is what we call the Golden Rule Initiative. And everybody understands what the Golden Rule is. And so we've blown up this particular sign here to almost an embarrassing size, put it in our resident room, and all the docs, all the residents, all the mid-levels in our department have signed it. And basically, as you read it, it's to treat people like friends and family. And if we don't treat you that way, and these signs are posted in our clinics and in our hallways around that clinic, we want you to go and make a complaint. We want you to hold us accountable for our behavior and our care. And in the past year, I can't remember getting a single complaint from a patient given the number of patients that we treat. And in the oral and maxillofacial surgery clinic, it's a procedurally based clinic. We are not doing things that people enjoy having done to them. And yet with that kind of stressful situation, we've had the kind of production year that we've had and the accolades from patients that we've had. Since this time, the OB department, orthopedics, and other departments have caught on to the concept of the Golden Rule Initiative. And I just want you to know none of this would have been possible without the hand-to-hand relationship that we have with the current administration. So we just support them wholeheartedly. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doctor.
Good morning.
Lisa Carter. I'm the current president of the medical staff, and thank you for letting us come. We do really think it's a new day at John Peter Smith. And so with the 70 years of experience, we've seen it all really for the last, say, 20, 25 years. In the last 2 years, the medical staff has matured. We've grown up, and so what we've done is we've organized ourselves with new bylaws. We have rules and regs that tell us how to treat patients, when the time is for doing this kind of document or not, and we've developed a code of conduct that says how we should behave. So with all of this structure, we're ready to move forward really to this patient and service excellence. We're in lockstep with the hospital. We believe that the Board of Managers delegates to us quality patient care and safety. And so we've really taken that responsibility seriously. And we want you to know that we're working very hard for it. So we built the structure. We're at the tipping point for this service excellence. We're focused on patient care and service delivery. We want our patients to have the right kind of experience. They deserve the right kind of experience. So we're going to call it the JPS experience. And maybe we'll be back in a few years to let you know how we're doing. So thank you. We're very dedicated to improving the care at JPS.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I've certainly seen the change in attitude and the change in just, the way patients are treated. And we'll say that the number of calls that I've gotten have gone down dramatically, and for that I'm especially appreciative. So we appreciate y'all being here today, and thank you very much. Mr. Manius, next item.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just a very brief update on the legislative issues. Mr. Mendez.
Good morning.
Morning.
Just a couple of things have happened since my briefing last Tuesday. First off, the governor did add one more item to the call, that being the sanctuary city issue. And late on Thursday night, when they were debating the budget bill on the House floor, Senate Bill 1, an amendment was added that expanded how the eligibility of community housing development organizations, the CHODOs. And at that time, we were not really certain of the impact to Tarrant County. We had not gotten an analysis from TAD. But the overall indication was from the appraisal district in Harris County was that it was going to be bad for all urban counties by expanding the eligibility of certain types of ownerships for this tax exemption without actually providing any additional affordable housing under the provisions of the CHODO legislation. So there was a statewide effort, cities and counties together, to try to get this amendment taken off the bill. Our champion for that was going to be a representative from Harris County. He instead chose to just exempt Harris County from the provision. And this happened at about 1:45 in the morning, late Thursday night, early Friday morning. So there was very little we could do at that point. Our next effort was on Friday to try to get it removed during the third reading. Very difficult to do. It takes 100 votes. Again, the information was conflicting from all the different appraisal districts across the state. There wasn't a true analysis of what the impact was going to be. we didn't get it off. So now the bill with the amendment is in conference committee now. There will be an effort to strip that amendment off in the conference committee, but most of that happens behind closed doors. At this point, only the Senate has named their conferees, nobody from Tarrant County on the conference committee on the Senate side. Our closest ally would be Senator Shapiro from Plano. They have not named the House conferees at this point. But we are making our delegation aware of the issue. The City of Fort Worth has been working with us on that, hopefully to build up a little coalition. The statewide organizations are still working to get the amendment taken off, and I'll let you know how that goes. But
Well, if we were calling Senator Shapiro, what we should basically say is we thought we had a deal to where this amendment was not going to go forward. It especially hurts the urban areas. The gentleman or the person who we thought was going to take care of it in the House took care of it, but only for Harris County.
Yes, sir.
And so, Colin, so we would like for her to consider stripping that amendment off on the Senate side.
I forwarded you an email and the TAD analysis this morning. It's probably in your inboxes with those talking points, and it's just that very brief analysis from TAD. If y'all are comfortable calling any of those conferees that we know so far, we would appreciate the help. Finally, I would just say that it looks like this special session that I thought was going to be over by this week, it's probably going to go the full 30 days. They're taking their time, doing these things one at a time, and taking a lot of time off in between floor deliberations. They're not working through the weekends, so it looks, and since this new issue has been added to the call, which they're not even going to start addressing until tomorrow, it looks like they're just going to be extending it to the full 30 days, which will put the end on June 29th. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions?
Members of the court, that's all we have at this time.
This time we'll recess from our open session to move to closed session to discuss items exempted under Section 551.071, 072, 074, 076, and 087 of the Texas Government Code.
On the screen, but are we ready to go?
Having returned from closed session and there being no business to conduct at this time, we'll stand adjourned.